And welcome into Gator Bites on the 1010XL.com podcast network, also being simulcast on the Florida Gator 1010XL Facebook page. Today's Gator podcast is brought to you, as always, by our good friends over at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. An impromptu Gator Bites. Jadan Baugh certainly did not check my schedule as I'm in the car about to pick up Little Hack from school, but I got Trent Osborne at the 1010XL studios with me. And big news out of Gainesville as running back Jadan Baugh is coming back to Florida. Home run for John Sumall. Not only does Jadan Baugh come back, that's coupled with the news last week of both Vernell Brown and Dallas Wilson. As I bring Trent Osborne in, what a job for John Sumall to get all three of those guys back. I mean, outside of DJ Lagway, Trent, and I'm not really all that upset that Lagway's leaving, to be honest. You had to bring back Brown, Wilson, and Baugh, and kudos to John Sumall. He was able to do that.
He absolutely has, and we've seen some Gator fans get a bit ornery on social media, upset about the lack of big moves. But when you have such a talented underclassmen group that the Gators had last year in VB3 and Dallas Wilson and in Jadan Baugh, you're focused on keeping those guys. And like you said, Hack, DJ Lagway, not exactly the hottest commodity in the transfer portal either. So I think John Summerall has done a fantastic job so far here through the transfer portal season.
I honestly don't know how it could be better. The only thing that could make it better to me is if they convince Jaden Woods to come back. That to me was the one kind of moment. Even Trey Wilson, he saw the writing on the wall with both Vernell Brown and Dallas Wilson coming back. Jaden Woods is the one to me that kind of stings a little bit, but that is very much feeling better at the moment with the news of Jadan Baugh coming back. Jadan Baugh, what he did against Florida State, what he did this entire year when given the opportunity. Of course, a lot of people will tell you Billy Napier didn't give him enough carries for the production that he was giving the University of Florida. And he was a hot commodity. One would think that he had a lot of offers elsewhere, probably to some other SEC schools. I mean, notably Texas was at least in the rumor mill with Jadan Baugh. But the fact that you get him back, again, outside of Jaden Woods being in the portal, I don't know how this could have gone any better for John Sumrall his first month or so on the job.
No doubt about it. And I remember I'm the producer as well. For those who don't know me, I produce the Swamp Sessions shows with Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser. And I remember watching the games and just pulling my hair out because Jadan Baugh would just get taken off the field. You'd forget he was on the team at some points with the way Napier was running the offense. And I have no doubt that John Sumrall is going to do a much better job of keeping him involved in the offense. But as you look at earlier today, Aaron Philo coming into the mix at quarterback, I think the Gators are going to have a couple of good options under center heading into the 2026 season, whether they end up sticking with Aaron Philo, keeping him with Buster Faulkner, the OC coming along with them from Georgia Tech, or giving former Mandarin Mustang star Tramel Jones a shot. I think they're going to be looking good at quarterback heading into this year.
Yeah, Philo's interesting because, again, all the hype coming out of high school, he's the guy that broke almost all of Trevor Lawrence's high school passing records in the state of Georgia. Obviously was a backup to Haynes King in Atlanta. Buster Faulkner was with him. Faulkner comes to Gainesville. Aaron Philo now comes with him. I know Bailey Stockton, a wide receiver at Georgia Tech, has also committed to Florida. I really like that one because when you have downfield threats like Vernell Brown and Dallas Wilson, people I've talked to in Atlanta said Bailey Stockton is going to be kind of that possession guy. He's the guy on 3rd and 5 that'll get you 6 yards and a first down, which I like how that's going to mix with both VB3 and Dallas Wilson. So very positive things for the University of Florida in a crazy time, Trent. I mean, you can't go on social media every 15 minutes and not see some coming or some going from some big time SEC school. This Gator roster, it's the day and age we live in college football, man. It will look vastly, vastly different. You're probably talking incoming freshmen, also out of the transfer portal, 40, maybe 50 new guys on the Gator roster in 2026. You're going to need one of those depth charts for the first couple of games next year because there's going to be a lot of new faces in Gainesville.
And I think it speaks to, when you look at all of the new names coming in, it speaks to the culture that John Summerall is already implementing here. Because you mentioned the schools after Jadan Baugh, Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, you name it. If he had officially entered his name into the transfer portal, there's a very real chance he would have shot up to number 1 on the overall ranking list. You get him to stay, you get the receivers to stay, and you're bringing in a lot of talented guys from the G5 level on that Tulane team, which, as everybody knows, was good enough to make the college football playoff this year. If they can get Jaden Woods back into the fold here, other than if you're still a big believer in DJ Lagway, like we were talking about before, are there any big missing pieces from this team that's really going to hurt that weren't already going to the NFL draft in the first place?
No, I don't think so. But a lot of it's going to have to do with meshing together. You're going to have a lot of new faces, obviously, basically a completely new staff, a couple of holdovers, but by and large, a completely new staff. Spring football is going to be vital for these guys. Obviously, summer camp is going to be vital. But the big news, and again, not to bury the lead, is Jadan Baugh coming back. And when you look at the type of offense Buster Faulkner runs, it uses the running back a lot, uses a mobile quarterback as well. And not only Baugh, but the Gators got some good news out of the portal, getting that running back from Cincinnati prior that transferred in earlier today. Was he 522 yards rushing last year? I believe he was a top 20 running back in the portal. It's a nice little 1-2 combo. Now you have lost some guys like Jacoby Jackson, like KD Daniels, Trayon Webb as well. So there certainly was some attrition at the running back position. But again, I think all of that is offset by the fact that Jadan Baugh is returning.
It absolutely is. And that's just the world we live in. Like you kind of referenced earlier, nobody's going to keep everybody. And when you have a guy like Jadan Baugh, and we've felt good over here in North Florida about Jaden staying, the fact that he didn't enter the portal before the opening or even in the few days after the portal had opened, we felt pretty good about our chances of staying. I would imagine some wind was catching down further on the depth chart, and they realized if Jadan Baugh was here in 2026, probably wasn't, those guys probably weren't going to see the field much. So, like you said, I really like the guy from Cincinnati as well. Could end up being one of the best 1-2 punches in the entire SEC this season.
Yeah, it looks like the center from Georgia Tech might be the next domino to fall. Bottom line is Buster Faulkner's bringing a lot of guys from Georgia Tech, and based on reports, a lot of folks from Tulane may be coming, including a kicker and potentially the punter from Tulane. So it's where we are in college football. Florida State, Miami, all the local schools are all going to deal with it. Now, Miami is still in the midst of playing for a college football national championship, and kudos to them for that. But you're going to have 20, 30, 40 new guys on your roster every single year. And I guess fans just need to learn, Trent, to live with that because that's the reality of the current college football situation.
There's no doubt about it, and it's one of the reasons why a guy like Kurt Signetti has kind of mastered this new world of college football. And you look at Indiana in his first year last season, really good, almost a completely different team in year 2. And you look in year 3, it's going to be a very similar situation, and they've already so far they've got by far and away the best transfer portal class of anybody in the nation. It's why Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin were able to be so successful the past few years. They've really mastered that kind of lane. It's why you see these coaches like Dabo Sweeney who don't want to be as willing, so to speak, with the transfer portal. They're kind of falling behind. And you see with John Summerall, if John Summerall can catch this new wave and catch this new trend and be able to control the chaos, so to speak, the Gators are going to be competing year in and year out with some of the best rosters in the country.
And again, it's a far cry from where Gator fans were about a month ago when the depression, I guess, was setting in. That Lane Kiffin is not coming to Gainesville. It was all about the Lane train. And I get the initial disappointment, but I said this on Hacker After Dark. You know, whether he wins a game or not, that's to be determined in September. To me, John Summerall knocked that introductory press conference out of the park. It was a grand slam introductory press conference. And he has taken that into the recruiting season where they didn't really lose any of their high school recruits. They only lost one, which was really good. And then he's taken that into the portal where he's bringing guys in and he's kept Vernell Brown, Dallas Wilson, and now Jadan Baugh. So if you were a Florida Gator fan, look, I get it. There is still some skepticism about what's going to happen in September, and it's talking season until then. But if we're going based on actions, based on what has actually happened in the first month of John Summerall's tenure, I don't know how you can be anything other than impressed at this point.
100%. He's done everything that you could feasibly want him to do. You have, in my opinion, two really solid potential answers at quarterback who very well could outplay the production we got from DJ Lagway did last year. Well, you'd certainly hope you get better quarterback play in this season,
It
but you
wouldn't be
keep
hard.
all. It would be pretty hard to get worse play from what you saw out of DJ in 2025. There's no doubt about that. But I think you hit the nail on the head, Hack. I think the introductory press conference, the thing that really stuck out to me is that he understands the assignment here at Florida. He openly said, Florida fans want to win. They expect to win. They got the right guy for the job. That's what he said. You can't go to a major program like a Florida, a Michigan, you name it, and walk in and not fully understand that you're on the clock immediately. We expect results in the interim because you look at if a guy like Curt Cignetti can go in 9 games in his first year at Indiana, there's no reason Florida shouldn't be competing for a playoff spot. So the fact that he already has the mentality of what the expectation is, I think that's a great side in and of itself. And like you said, I think he's lived up to the billing so far.
Let's wrap it up with this. I mean, Florida fans needed some good news because the basketball team has decided they're just never going to win a one possession game. They have they have lost every which way you can possibly lose in the final minute of a game to Duke, UConn, Arizona, what TCU, and then a couple nights ago to Missouri. We'll see what happens with the SEC home opener tonight. So the basketball team's 9-5. Obviously, the football team did not have a great year, but I do believe, again, it has been a great month. And whether you're a John Summerall fan or not, whether you like the hire or not, if you're going to be objective and if you're going to be, fair, first month has been fantastic. Unless, like you said, you're a DJ Lagway supporter, maybe you're upset about that. But I continue to say Lagway needed a fresh start. I think Florida needed a reset. I think it was good for both parties. If Lagway ends up at Florida State, that would be hilarious, considering he stood at a podium a month ago, a month and a half ago, and said he's a Florida Gator. And it would just show you where college football is. If you said that a month and a half ago, and then you end up in Tallahassee. But regardless of that, I am not losing any sleep at all that DJ Lagway is no longer the quarterback. I don't think he was going to be a good fit for Buster Faulkner's scheme. I think Aaron Philo is a much better fit. So if you take Lagway out of the equation, I don't know how you can be anything but very, very pleased with John Summerall. And the fact that he doesn't even coach a game for another 8 months, to me, is a great sign that I'm this happy with what's transpired already.
I think at this point, the only way you could really be upset, other than being a Lagway supporter, is just still being hung up on the big name splash higher kind of narrative that people get caught up in. If I would have told you back in November the new coach is going to keep the entire high school recruiting class for the most part, keep Jadan Baugh, keep Vernell Brown, and keep Dallas Wilson, would you not expect that to be a home run across the board, no matter what the name on the head coaching nameplate is?
I would have said, where do I sign? I would have signed on. Again, to me, the only bad part's Jaden Woods. Hopefully they can work that out. But if ultimately that's the worst thing that happens to you in the transfer portal, that you lose Jaden Woods, it could have been a whole lot worse. If we were having this podcast, this Gator Bites podcast, presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialist right now, talking about Jaden Baugh's departure, it would be a very solemn podcast. But because Jaden Baugh is coming back, I think there's reason for a ton of optimism when it comes to the University of Florida and John Summerall. That is Trent Osborne. I'm the hacker Ryan Green. Trent, appreciate you bearing with me as I'm in the car line over in the Mandarin area. Boy, you'll learn this one day. For people watching with little kids, car lines are amazing things. You got to basically get here about 45 minutes before the kids get out, or you're going to be waiting 45 minutes after they get out. It's like tailgating to pick up your son or daughter at these preschools. But nevertheless, Jadan Baugh back at the University of Florida. Kudos to John Sumall and the Gators for getting that done. Thank you to Trent Osborne for joining me here on Gator Bites, 1010XL.com, and the Florida Gator 1010XL Facebook page.